So we have a whole range of artists who are radical and challenging on the one hand, but also incredibly accessible and attractive because of the work that they have made. People that come to mind are Yinka Shonibari, the extraordinary artist, probably best known for his Fourth Plinth work in Trafalgar Square, the Ship in the Bottle, who's making a new work for us in the old history centre, the old reference library of Brighton Museum. And that will be called the British Library.
British Library by Yinka Shonibari is really a celebration of the diversity of British culture. And so the aim is to make an art installation that in appearance looks like a library, which obviously references the site of the old reference library. So when you come into the room, there'll be thousands of books positioned on the shelves, and each book is covered in Yinka's signature fabric, which is this very beautiful, exquisite African fabric. And on the spines of each book will be the names of different people, notable people who've come in to Britain during the course of history and recent times who've made a contribution to society here.
We look at William Forsythe's work, the extraordinary American choreographer based in Germany, and we have a very special installation piece, which he regards as a choreographic object rather than an art installation, a choreographic object that brings people to it to explore movement in space. And that piece is going to take place in Circus Street in the old municipal market. William Forsythe's piece, Nowhere and Everywhere at the Same Time, which is 300 pendulums that are each individually manipulated by a motor, computerized and moving, will be, I think, a very special experience for people, and a great celebration of a wonderful choreographer that has been a seminal influence on Hoffe Schecter's work.
We're inviting Swedish artist Jakob Dahlgren to come to Brighton. Jakob's trained as an abstract painter, but he's now well known for amassing large quantities of manufactured goods such as coat hangers, packets of dried food, dartboards, and making those into large works that have a very strong visual impact, usually through pattern or the ordering of colour. One of the things that's really fascinating about his work beyond that is that he's really interested in the interactive potential of his works. He describes the kind of magic moment of when people are invited or seem to be invited to take part in his works physically, and the moment at which they realise that they can, being a real kind of moment of excitement. We're going to be bringing two works to Brighton. The first is The Wonderful World of Abstraction, which is a piece that's comprised of thousands of metres of ribbon suspended from a metal frame, which you can walk through, which I think will create a tremendous sense of fun and excitement around it. The second is a piece called Heaven is a Place on Earth. It's made of over 700 sets of bathroom scales in kind of candy colour, pinks and oranges and blacks and purples. We're also going to capitalise on the interactive potential of the works through a co-commission with South East Dance. We're going to be inviting choreographer Charles Linehan into the space as artist in residence, and he's going to be producing a series of public performances across Jakob's works and through Jakob's works during May.
Well, Hoffe is not only a choreographer but a composer and a drummer, so he's very passionate about music, so it meant that there was considerable dialogue with us around ideas. And I like the edge that he has in his work and the repetition, you know, in his dance work, so it's quite mesmerising. So I think for me as a music producer that influenced things quite a bit. So if you take Zamoon, for example, you know, there was a direct thinking between Hoffe and Zamoon, you know, as a repetitive, percussive piece of work. So, you know, as soon as Hoffe saw that, he was extremely excited about it. So that was brilliant. There's an exhibition called Music, Time and Space in the Founders Room, which is continuous music boxes that the audience or that people can engage with. So the scores have been made mechanically by the university, students at the university. It's lines along the wall, very repetitive structures like the Zamoon and like the Hofesh, you know, sound that he uses in his work and the moves. And so I think as a theme, that's really kind of crept through.
So every year, part of House, we like to work with an established artist, but also more emerging artists who are also working throughout the region. And we do an open call submission, and we ask each artist to make a point of connection with the lead artist, which obviously this year is Yinka Shonabare. So the people involved this year were selected and interviewed. And working with partners, they've each made a kind of personal response to the idea of immigration, migration, seeking refuge. We have 4 different projects that are going to be sited in different locations throughout the city. We have sculpture, we have new media, and in each case they're really interrogating the idea of the thematic. Tobias Revel, for example, whose work is going to be at Lighthouse, he's very interested in technologies and the ideas of citizenship and how that today comes to be reflected in technologies where there are no borders like there are with countries. So looking at the flip side of that and what does that mean in today's society, a very networked society. We have Philip Hall Patch, who's an architect. He's based in Brighton. He's Iranian and half British, and he's making a new piece that actually utilises salt blocks. And he's making a piece where the salt will be displaced by water throughout the month of the festival in the Waste House at the University of Brighton. We also have Leah Gordon, whose work will be in the Regency Townhouse. And for a number of years, Leah's been working on an idea of actually the shared histories between Haiti and here in the UK, which is partly a personal response based on her and her partner's experience of that, but also comments on some much larger ideas and issues in society like the Haitian Revolution and also the abolition of slavery, for example. And then we have a really exciting project by 2 really emerging artists who've recently graduated from the LCA. They are Rosanna Martin and Esther Svensson, and they are creating a very beautiful, intimate installation in Regency Townhouse made of ceramics and glass, which is a kind of journey, a kind of implied narrative of what it means to be an immigrant today.
I think the most important aspect of the festival for me really is that sense of discovery. It is the chance to see, whether it's film, piece of theatre, piece of music, something that you just wouldn't get the chance to see the rest of the year. Most of the films in the programme haven't existed before to be seen in cinemas in the UK, so new digital versions are being made at the moment, so it's very exciting being able to present these films in Brighton. Well, with the film programme, we've sort of connected things thematically to Hofesh's programme, so a lot of the films that we're screening deal with issues of transition and transformation. There's a real cluster of coming-of-age films, so that was sort of really the starting point for the programme. We have a programme of films called Cinema of Childhood, and that's been curated by the filmmaker and film critic Mark Cousins. Mark's made a documentary called A Story of Children and Film, and to complement that, we've put this programme together. So it's a range of films from around the world. It's a very international selection from China, Iran, Japan, from all over. And there's certainly films that I think most audiences would never have seen before. They all have children as the main protagonist at the centre of the action. So they're films about children, they're not necessarily films for children. There's a film called Tomka and His Friends, which is a 1977 film from Albania. I mean, we don't see many films from that part of the world, but it's a very special film. Hasn't played in the UK before, so people would never have had the chance to see it. It's a lovely film about childhood, about growing up, and about all the issues that come with that. So that would be one of my personal picks. One of the highlights is we've put a programme of films together to coincide with the Dark and Stormy Crime Literature Festival. So that'd be a selection of films with Brighton connections, with special guests and introductions and Q&As and so on.